Hello, guys. You're watching Grain Life podcast. It feels great on quarantine to be active and speak to someone that interesting. While Elon Musk seems to be a president of Mars, we here actually speak with a general manager of Neptune. Say hi to Yesper Pedersen. Hello.
Hello and good day to you.
Jesper, tell a few words like an introduction of yourself for our viewers to know something about you. What are you doing?
Well, first of all, thank you very much for the opportunity to be here on Latifundist. I believe that you're running a really great platform with a lot of great content and also some good news. So I really
appreciate it.
Following your site. On your question, as you said, I'm the general manager of Neptune. I am so lucky and happy to be living in Odessa with all its very rich history, culture, entertainment, and close to the sea. So outside of the Corona season, it's really enjoyable, and I'm doing that as well.
Yeah, nice to hear. Yeah, Odessa, I like Odessa especially. So it's a great city. So you're really happy, man, to live and work there. There are not much open source information about you. So if it's possible, just tell us a few words about we do not know, except of the Neptune. Some things like what are you doing in your free time? What are you interested in, maybe?
Well, I did not know that it was unknown information, but nevertheless, I am doing ordinary things, enjoying, as I said, the good life in Odessa and surroundings. Most of the time, we are still very busy at the terminal, but outside of that, of course, like everybody else, I'm sitting at home and looking at Netflix and the internet waiting for Corona to finish.
Okay. So you're of such type of people that searching about the information about the Corona, download the application with the online information. Yeah, something like that.
Yeah, well, at least I used to, but it's the interest is starting to go down a little bit.
Yeah, it was on hype sometime, and now I think it's slowed down a little bit, and I think it will be good in few weeks, and we will be back at our normal life. So, but okay, you are watching Netflix while the Corona crisis and in regular life, so it's not much changes for you, maybe.
Well, the ability to go outdoor is something which I believe everybody is missing for the moment.
Of course, yeah. So I said about not much information because your last post on Facebook was like September 19th, so that's why I'm asked because you're not very active on social networking.
Well, very briefly, I have a past business career in shipping and terminal business, as well as financial holding companies. I worked in different countries, more than 8 years in Ukraine, and same number of years in Russia, as well as some time in Asia and Africa. So it's pretty much a standard, regular business career so far.
Oh, no, not regular as for me. You made the whole career way from the simple manager to CEO, one of the biggest terminals in a very, very specific industry. So maybe, is it helpful to understand all branches of the business, or it would be better to become a CEO instantly, maybe without this tough way, like when you get in a heritage or something? So do you use this knowledge in regular life?
Well, if you can find that kind of situation where you can become the CEO immediately, of course. But
it will be better.
There's probably not so many of those opportunities. And I think it's important to realize that in today's general management, compared to, let's say, 10, 15 years ago, the financial part, the part related to making loans, especially also on compliance, on tax issues, on the corporate setup, this kind of things is a lot more complex today than 15 years ago. And at the same time, today the technical part where you have people management involved today is less because of technology. You have less people involved.
Yeah.
So the actual role of the general manager have changed a lot. But obviously, in order to become a general manager, you have to have a proven track record, and of course, you also have to be lucky to be in an industry which is expanding. Then you have to be lucky as well that there is a job available.
Yeah. So you might have good engineering background maybe to make it successful. Yeah. According to 10,000 hours rule, looks like you are more than the expert, or you learn something every day.
Well, I definitely learn every day, and about the 10,000 hour rule, I would say that 2,000 hours in Ukraine would count as 10,000 hours in so
yeah, it's like a cat life. Yeah, 1 year compared to the 7th. Yeah. Oh no, it's a dog's life. I forgot. Okay. So as a CEO of the huge grain terminals, for our viewers that might have no clue about it, so what are you doing on a regular daily basis? Tell us how it looks like. What are you doing in the mornings and how your days look like?
First, about the terminal. I mean, we are a transshipment facility, which means that inland producers of grain, they bring the grain to our terminal by rail, by truck, and we then store it into our warehouse in our silos, as you can see behind me.
Yeah, beautiful silos.
Yeah, this is a silo behind me. With each of them, we have quite a lot of them. There's 15,000 tons in each. On the left side of me, you can see a little bit. You can see our flat store. Here we keep 90,000 tons of grain, which means that in total we have roughly 300,000 tons of storage capacity. And all this capacity is used for storage. And then when the inland producer sells the grain to a foreign buyer or to an international company, which they are part of, then we transship the grain on board a vessel who then leaves from Ukraine to everywhere else in the world. And this is our basic business. So on a daily basis, we work closely with our production team and our administration team to try to optimize this movement of the cargo into the silos and out of the silos. And this is all kinds of normal issues, the movement of the cargo, the storage of the cargo, the maintenance of the conveyor belt we use to move the cargo, the documentation flow, the invoice flow, and the staff management. So our company setup is very standard in terms of a production facility anywhere else in the world.
Yeah, it looks standard, but not for regular viewers who don't understand anything. Maybe what it might looks like, because there are a lot of storage there, a lot of grains. Somehow it should be transshipped on a vessel. So what are your role there? What are you doing daily?
On a daily basis, my main role is to coordinate the teams we have who are dealing with the specific of the business. We have many teams. We have accounting teams, finance teams, we have logistic teams, we have our production teams, which again is split into many different parts: engineering, electrical, cleaning, maintenance. We have our railway people, we have our people on the berth who is dealing with the vessels. We have a human resource function. So all these functions, they interact to each other. We also have a legal function. So my job is to make sure as much as possible that these functions, they work good together. And least but not last, we also have to deliver a good service to our client, because we are a client-based company. We live from the money the client gives us.
Yeah. So to what type of managers you relate yourself? To one who can delegate, or to the one that should control everything by himself?
It's a combination, because it's depending on the specific area where the manager in charge, where the skill he have or she has. So it will depend from person to person, but it's also depending on the actual situation. In the high season, the challenges are much bigger than in the low season. In the low season, we are mostly focused on maintenance and preparing for the next season. So it is not like a standard setup. It's depending on the actual situation and the time of the year.
Mm-hmm. And how many people work there?
We have roughly 240 people working here, out of which 35 are dealing with administration and finance issues. Wow. And the balance part are working on our production team, which are working in several shifts. Because obviously, as a terminal, we are working 24 hours a day.
A lot. I read about. Okay, everyone knows this man. It's the CEO of Nibelon, and he claims that he knows all his stuff by the name. So how many names do you know?
He definitely knows more names than I do. Then. But obviously, it's part of it, and the more names you know, the more you get to know about the business when you make your walk around, and also there's a lot of safety issues involved with the way we do our business. So it is a requirement that we know. Maybe not every person, but at least our team leaders know everybody on the team, and definitely they do that. So yes.
So I read about the technology behind the Neptune. For example, the floor storage with no columns, so no blind zones there. So it's looks like a very modern solution. So is it like a standard and spread it everywhere, or this is someone very smart architectured it and think about it before?
We have in Neptune, we have partners who are experienced in the grain business for many years, both in Ukraine and out of Ukraine. And obviously, during the design and the construction phase, they have given their input to the best technology they have seen in other terminals, which we could adopt and use here in Ukraine. And we have adopted many of those. And not only those you mentioned, like no pillars in the middle of our flat store, and that it's not only about efficiency, it's also about that sometimes we can reduce the number of staff involved. But this is not in Ukraine, this is not an issue about cost. It's an issue about safety, because every time you can remove the human factor from a movement of anything, then you also reduce the chance that there can be a risk of a safety issue.
Yeah. So you're willing to build something very automated, yes, in the future?
If possible, absolutely, yes.
Is it possible to almost remove all the stuff on the silo, maybe to do it not semi-automated, but in full?
It's almost possible to do it fully automated. The more automated, due to the higher level of automation you get, the higher cost you also will get. So you strive to go for the balanced ground in the middle, where it makes perfectly sense to do it. And then later on, it's also depending on how much volume you move. So all these factors, they are even out towards each other. So if, example, we move, let's say, 4 times more volume than we do today, then the level of automation would make much more sense than it does today. So it's the balanced approach.
Yeah. So in general, you're open to some automated decisions. So are you use some third-party software or hardware, or you're trying to develop it by yourself?
We are using as much as possible we can Ukrainian production for the terminal, including software, accounting as well. We are also using international software system and so on. So there's no specific standard in this respect.
Oh, some companies has very restricted permissions, not permissions, maybe very restricted view on the way they use software, and some of them will do a software by themselves instead of use some third party. That's why I'm asking. So as I heard, you are open to cooperate with some developers.
Obviously, yes, we are open to develop with to cooperate with developers. Obviously, considering that all the certification and to be in the proper place.
Maybe you have some open need right now you want to announce.
Not for the moment, no. We are still in the process of redesigning the existing software we are using, and until that is in place, we are not specifically looking to add further ones.
Yeah, I understand. By the way, and who is the author of the name in Neptune? Because I like it very much.
Well, it's a long history, and when we officially opened in September last year, just before that, we made a competition where we asked for suggestions for a name. And one of the project managers from our partners who was involved in the construction, he came up with the name Neptune, which is the Roman god of the sea. And we thought that since we are a terminal who's making a living on shipping into a vessel on the sea, it would be a good choice for our terminal.
Yeah, that's 100% right. So, and what were the other options?
There were many options. Some of them better than the others, and I don't think I will go into them right here. But I just really believe that Neptune was probably the best one of the series.
Yeah, it seems like the best, maybe. Yeah, and talking about the quarantine, so how these things are going now? What % of staff work remotely, and did the effectiveness decrease?
We do like everywhere else. We try to work as much remotely as possible. We are a production facility, so we have a lot of physical job. So we have removed all of our administration people from the site. They're working from home. In fact, I'm the only one in the office today at all. But on the production side, we work in shift, and obviously we have taken quite a lot of measures to limit the contact between the shift, and also internally in the ship we have split them up, and we are using masks, sanitizers, and physical separation as much as possible. It's not easy for the business, but so far we work quite well. I don't think it is something that will work forever going forward, because we need the interaction between the people to make the best possible optimization. So it's working well, but we certainly would like to get back to a normal day again.
Of course, yeah. So how much business lose in effectiveness?
We haven't lost any business.
Oh, really? So maybe the quarantine taught us something, and you will change something in your business after it ends, based on your experience right now.
I believe that there will not be a black and white finish on this issue. So for sure we will continue some of the measurements, the social distancing and the sanitizing and stuff like that. That will continue for the future. I do believe it. In terms of having people to work from home, maybe we could be a little bit more flexible, but we haven't really considered that yet.
So, but except of remotely work, so maybe you saw that you do not need so much people there physically presented. Maybe you will make some conclusions on it.
Yeah, for sure. We will look at that, but that's too early to say.
Understandable. By the way, congratulations with 3 million tons in January. I read about it. And what are the numbers now?
We have so far from when we started operation, we have now reached 3.8 million, and we expect that we will be more or less around 4 million tons by the end of this year's season.
Wow, that's great. And I bet numbers could be bigger if we will add here 50 days of the visit of the guys from the tax agency. Yeah, so 30 million hryvnias is a huge claim from them. Tell us how this happened. What do they want? Is this a manual pressure from some persons concerned, maybe?
Neptune, we are a new business. We have just started. We don't have 10 years of track record with tax inspection. We don't have any bad history. We don't have anybody who can say that we did something bad in the past, because we are just started. We are completely a blank entity opened up. So the fact that we have tax inspection sitting here for 50 working days, actually sitting here physically on the terminal, it negatively affects our ability to do business. And we don't feel that there is any reason behind or any motive behind. It's simply government tax inspection, old-fashioned bureaucracy, which is in the way here. And in our lifetime, even though we are so short lifetime, we have already paid more than $5 million in hryvnia in taxes. So obviously we are a big company, and but having a tax inspection working on a philosophy that you have to collect something, you have to find something in order to justify why you are there. It's completely old-fashioned, and the good news is that the country is changing. So this kind of people, they will disappear. This is not going to happen in 5-10 years from now, because also looking at it, if you want to attract business to the country, and you treat new investment like that, I mean, you're not going to have a very positive image. So, but as I said, this is purely old-fashioned structure of tax inspection, and we don't see that there's anything else behind it at all.
And how the situation is right now?
Well, the situation is that we have a dispute, like many other companies. We have a dispute with the tax authorities, and we are solving that in a normal way via the arbitration. And I'm quite certain that we will have a positive outcome.
So now it's it's handled in good way and have good perspectives to end. Yes,
we believe so. Yes.
Okay. And are you watching the situation around grain market in general? What do you think about the case with the spike trade, and what impact it might have on the market?
I don't know this company in any detail or know anything specific about it, but it's a standard situation. You have a company expanding very fast, and then in Ukraine, and in the grain business, you have many overlapping factors, cash flow, contracts, movement of grain, and then suddenly something goes wrong in this chain. And then if you are let's say a company with not a large capital reserve, then your business model gets strained. And when your business model gets strained, you get into a circle of things where it's getting more and more difficult to get yourself out of. And certainly in some cases, maybe this is the case here, but I don't know. Maybe the case here is that simply they ran into a situation where they couldn't cover what they were doing. And at the same time, maybe the corona thing had an influence or whatever.
No,
and when
maybe
that happens, then when you're undercapitalized, then your chances of getting through a difficult situation is obviously less.
Want to believe in it, so the market will be good. And in general, what do you think about market due to current crisis? I read that Bunge and Kernel and Glencore shares fell dramatically. So what do you think about it?
Maybe the share price is more related to external factors than what actually are going on inside these companies, because overall speaking, I believe grain business is a lot more crisis resistant than other parts of the global economy. So the fact that these things are happening, of course, will have an impact, but where we will see the real impact will come a little bit later, because even if the corona starts going down, the economic impact is only starting. The crisis is only going to start really now. So they could have some impact in the future.
So you project that even after the quarantine will be over, we will face the real effect of the crisis?
Absolutely.
And how do you think it will affect the market?
Again,
what will happen?
The grain business is more resistant to this kind of economic things, because grain is a product which is consumed by animals and people. So there might be a change in which types of grain are being consumed and used, but overall the amount of grain needed is probably not changing that much. So the grain business is different and better position in this kind of crisis than, for example, consumer products.
Yeah, that's true, because it's essential to everyone. So you think your business in particular will not face as much effects
Absolutely.
as everyone? Yeah.
Not that much.
So what are your projections in the next 3 years regarding your business? What will happen in Ukraine?
I believe that the grain production in Ukraine will continue to increase. The production will get more efficient. The number of terminals which are here today gives a better access to the global market, more competitive. So there will be bigger production, and there also will be a bigger ability to ship the product out to the world market. So I think for Ukraine it's quite positive.
Mm-hmm. That's good. So hope it will be. And so regarding the competitors of Neptune, is there a possibility of appearing more terminals like Neptune in the nearest future?
The possibility is there. But if we look at the companies which today are already invested in terminals in Ukraine, then most of the international major agricultural holdings, they're already here in Ukraine. So the ability for newcomers to come in is less, and also the terminal revenue has gone down with more than 60% per ton for the last 5 years. So the business case of building a terminal today is completely different than, let's say, 5-10 years ago. So it's possible there will be new terminals coming, but the odds are definitely much less than it used to be.
Mm-hmm. And what is the best place to build a new terminal right now, as per your view?
There's not a lot of good places left to build a new terminal.
And what about to make some works on to make it more deep first, and then build something?
Yeah, it's costly and it takes time. So, and as I said, the revenue for a terminal is down 60% per ton to 5 years ago. So you would need very cheap financing to do that.
Yeah, of course. So can you explain for me and for our viewers that do not know anything about it, so on how it looks like to build a terminal, what you should do to have a terminal in 5 years?
Well, that's a huge question, but obviously you need a location, you need finance, you need design, you need partners, you need an ability to start the project, and you need an ability to complete the project, and it's a huge thing to start. So there are so many factors involved.
And did you have a role in developing of this terminal, or you became a CEO after it was constructed?
I became involved in Neptune when it was very close to completion. So the initial part of it I have not been involved in, but the later part, yes.
Was it a quick decision to switch from your current position on that time to this position?
That's a good question. I don't think it was a quick decision, but it was a good decision, and it was the right decision. And it really is an interesting business we are doing here.
So you like your current position? Maybe you have some professional dream or some other ambitions you want to implement?
Well, my ambition is the same as it is for the terminal. We want to be seen as the best service provider of the terminals in Ukraine, and to deliver to our clients the best products. And we are a common user terminal. We don't do any trading. We don't do any buying or selling of grain. Mm-hmm. So our objective is simply to transship the cargo, and we want to do this as effectively and cost efficient as possible. And by doing that, we help our clients to generate a good amount of revenue for their business as well. And that's our objective.
And by the way, why don't you trade by yourself? Because you have a huge team. very experienced. You have the understanding of the market. You have the active, like as a terminal. You can be a trader, maybe. Why don't you do this?
We have made the strategic choice that we don't want to compete against our own clients.
Okay. Maybe the reason is because you have a huge grain trader as a shareholder, and the grain trading is their business, and so you like divided it.
We haven't divided anything. We provide to our clients a equal service, whether they are a partner or whether they are a completely external client. We provide the same service to all of our clients.
So the rules are...
Sorry, and the market is so small within the grain trading business in Ukraine that if we did not do that, everybody would know about it immediately. So I'm not saying this just to say, we really believe in it, and we are doing it.
If there would be some rating of the terminals, what would be the place of Neptune right now?
In terms of service, I would definitely believe that we would be in the extreme top. And as long as we continue to do that, we will also get into the extreme top in terms of volume and revenue.
So you have such plans, so you are now working on it, right?
Our plans is definitely to continue to give a super service and thereby increasing our volume, yes.
Understandable. And maybe you have some message to the market. You may tell whatever you want right now to the market.
Yeah, well, we are open for business. The new season is coming, and we have, on the basis of last season, we have developed quite a lot of new things which we want to implement. We have established a external parking place for trucks, which means that no longer the trucks have to stand on the road and queue for hours and hours. We also is launching our website before the start of the new season. On that website, there will be a live streaming of the trucking intake, so that all the truck suppliers, all the CBT deliveries in Ukraine, they can go and see that the waiting time in our terminal, they can see how big it is. Because when you as a farmer or a trader in Ukraine, you want your truck to turn around as fast as possible, and you want to deliver your grain to the place where you can do it more economically. So these are some of the features we have done for the new season. We have also have 2 robot electrical remote controlled trains operating in our unloading location, which means that we no longer need the same amount of locomotives to transfer the wagons back and forward within our area. And this would mean, all being equal, it would mean that our turnaround time for railway wagons will be faster than in other terminals, which again will help our client to have a better service and a better product, which will make them more competitive and which will give us an opportunity to grow our volume as well.
Good. And what do you think about some kind of the service that might give your customers the information about how much volume is there on the terminal, and can this service have an open API to send the information to their systems, to their ERP system or CTRM systems? So do you have plans to build such a service? I think it would be a very competitive thing.
We are on a daily basis. We are sharing our volume which we have in our terminal. We are sharing that with our clients.
And how do you do this?
By phone, by email. We don't keep it as a secret. Sorry.
I mean, maybe something more automated, because the by phone and by email in Excel, it might be, everyone do this. As for me, no, almost everyone. But maybe if you will do such a portal with the open information, with some access for your clients, they can go to this portal and see it online without any email, any phone calling or something.
Well, it's certainly something which we would welcome going forward. The fact is that the number of clients you have for each grain terminal in the port in Ukraine is quite limited. So it's not like we have 1,000 clients. So it's not, there's no work resource involved in giving this information to our existing client by mail or phone. But what we do believe could be the option for the future was to enable a better tracking of the trucks which are on the way from inland to the ports. That would assist the trucking companies as well as the terminals to do a better planning.
Only trucks or rail cars too?
The rail cars,
wagons.
Rail cars are already there more or less, because when a rail start moving, you know more or less the flow.
You mean the Ukrainian system is planned and something like that, yeah?
Yeah, we normally work on a monthly planning with our clients where they tell us their requirements, and then we match it up with our capacity and our intake. And then we agree jointly what would be the best way to handle their volume.
Understand. I also read about the railway station on your terminal. Do you have any plans to expand it maybe, or to be connected to the river somehow, because the river transport will be growing as I know?
We are looking at several things, including rail and river. We certainly want in the future to try and see if this is something which makes sense to develop our volume more positively. For the coming season, we are focused more on the direct issues, but certainly going forward, looking at the future and also looking at the requirement and the growth of Ukraine grain, this is certainly something we are looking at very interestingly.
How it might looks like. So what you should do to make it work?
What we have today is we have quite good capacity on the seaside. We can handle quite a lot of vessels. Yeah. We have a quite large intake of rail. We can do 255 wagons per day. We have a good intake of trucks. We can do about 800 trucks per day. So already with that capacity, we can do a lot more volume than many other places. So in order to increase that volume, we would need more storage facility. We would need more unloading facilities. And this is something we're looking at based on demand, and obviously also based on a business calculation, whether it makes sense money-wise or not.
So you think the bottleneck is in the storage right now?
The bottleneck is several places. The main bottleneck is the supply chain, that the arrival to the terminal from inland is not happening in a balanced way. It goes up and down in uneven factors. As you know, also Ukhrsalnitsa, the railway, they have their internal issues. The wagon issues seem to get better. And now it's the locomotives and the pricing done for different commodities, which are maybe limiting more than other things. So it's not something. It doesn't help that you have a terminal which can do 20 million tons if the inland infrastructure cannot do it.
Understandable. And what is the best capacity, the best transshipment volume you may handle?
It's a theoretical discussion, and it's very difficult to say. But as an example, you have terminals in United States with the same storage, railway, and truck capacity as we have, which can handle maybe 5 times more cargo than is possible here in Ukraine. So again, as I said, the terminal is the last part of the step on the way to the world market. And as long as you have a infrastructure on the inland which is not able to handle more volume effectively, it makes no sense that you have a terminal which is designed to do a lot more.
Yeah, of course. It's as much as I'm hearing, there are a lot of so everything is like under control. And do you have some interesting things happened daily? Maybe something is out of the control, or you might face interesting situations you need to solve, or you faced it in your previous experience, because you know, such a huge experience that you have. I think something should be there.
We have like everywhere else, we have many issues. We have mechanical issues. We have issues related to procedures where things are happening which doesn't fit into a procedure. We have the flow of the cargo to the terminal, which is not going according to plan of our clients. We have many other issues and external and internal factors. So on a daily basis, we are quite able to find something to do.
So you're not having boring days, yeah, where you're doing the same?
No, not in this kind of business, no.
Especially in Ukraine?
Absolutely not in Ukraine.
Yeah. Good. Okay, thank you for today's talk. Thank you that you found the time for us. It's always a pleasure to hear some interesting things in interesting niche from the 100% professional. So we wish you all the best in your business and wish Neptune be fast growing, flourishing. Дякую.
Thank you very much. And thank you very much for this opportunity.
Good. Nice to hear you. So say bye to our viewers.
Bye-bye.
Bye.